All right, so today we're diving deep into Colleen Hoover's world, specifically her novel, It Starts With Us.
Okay.
For those who maybe haven't read It Ends With Us, this is the sequel. And we're picking up with Lily. She's recently divorced from Ryle.
Right.
They share a daughter, and she's reconnecting with her first love, Atlas.
Okay.
And we've got excerpts from the book to kind of
Right.
work with, and our mission, I guess, is to uncover what makes Lily and Atlas's relationship tick.
Interesting.
What individual struggles they're facing, how their pasts are shaping their present,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Oh.
Oh, and get ready for some
Okay.
swoon-worthy Atlas moments.
Right.
A glimpse into Lily's strength, and maybe even some family drama that will leave you wanting more.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
Let's jump in.
Okay, so one of the first things that jumped out at me was the situation with Atlas's restaurant.
Okay.
Someone is vandalizing his businesses,
Oh, no.
and it turns out to be his long-lost younger brother, Josh.
Wow. What's striking here is how this situation mirrors Atlas's own past.
Oh, interesting.
Both he and Josh were abandoned by their mother and had to navigate incredibly difficult circumstances,
Right.
especially financially. To see this pattern repeating itself with his brother
Yeah.
has to be bringing up a lot of complex emotions for Atlas.
It definitely seems that way. But what I found really interesting was how Atlas reacts. He seems more concerned about Josh's well-being than the damage to his restaurants. I mean, he actually takes Josh in.
That's a significant choice. Think about it. Atlas could have easily called the police,
Right.
pressed charges, and distanced himself from this whole mess.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He chooses empathy and understanding.
Wow.
It suggests that he's consciously trying to break the cycle of abandonment and hardship that he experienced. Instead of perpetuating the patterns of his past,
Right.
he's offering a different path for his brother.
That's such a good point. It really shows how much compassion Atlas has, even in the face of this pretty intense situation. And it's not all serious either. There's this part where Atlas is trying to get Josh to, clean up his language. Stop cursing so much. Okay. But then he completely cracks up when Josh says the croutons are fucking delicious.
That little detail really humanizes Atlas, doesn't it?
I know.
He's taking on this responsibility for his brother, but he's not losing his sense of humor in the process.
Right.
There's a lightness there, a genuine warmth in their interactions that I think speaks volumes about Atlas's character.
I totally agree. It's like even though he's been through so much himself,
Yeah.
he still has this playful, caring side that just shines through.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about Lily. We know she's dealing with the aftermath of her abusive marriage to Ryle.
And Hoover doesn't shy away from the complexities of that experience.
Oh, she doesn't.
It's clear that ending the marriage hasn't magically erased the trauma.
Right.
We see Ryle continuing to try and manipulate and control Lily, even using their daughter as leverage.
There's this line in the excerpts that really hit me hard. Lily says, "The hardest part about ending an abusive relationship is that you aren't necessarily putting an end to the bad moments. The bad moments still rear their ugly heads every now and then. When you end an abusive relationship, it's the good moments you put an end to."
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that it speaks to a nuanced understanding of the healing process.
Yeah.
Ending the relationship is just the first step. There's still the ongoing work of processing the trauma, setting boundaries, and reclaiming your sense of self.
And Lily is definitely not portrayed as a passive victim here.
No.
We see her taking control, like when she tells Alyssa she's spoken to a lawyer about Ryle's behavior.
Oh, really?
Now, it turns out she hasn't actually done that yet,
Oh, okay.
but the fact that she's planning to shows her determination to protect herself and her daughter.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
It highlights Lily's agency. She's not just reacting to Ryle's actions. She's actively taking steps to create a safer environment for herself and Emerson. It's a subtle but crucial detail that speaks to her resilience and her commitment to moving forward.
And amidst all of this heavy stuff, Lily still has moments of humor.
Okay, good.
Like, remember that scene where Atlas catches her sleeping through their first date?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
But it shows that she's not letting the weight of her situation crush her spirit entirely.
Absolutely. And, sometimes humor can be a powerful coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It allows us to step back from difficult emotions, find a moment of lightness, and regain a sense of perspective.
It's like finding a little bit of sunshine on a cloudy day.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's talk about the heart of this book. The relationship between Lily and Atlas.
Okay.
It's been years since they were together.
Right.
And now they're reconnecting.
And what I find fascinating is how Hoover uses their shared past to build a strong foundation for their rekindled romance.
Interesting.
We see them reminiscing about seemingly insignificant details. It's like
Yeah.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
But those memories hold a deep significance for them.
Mm.
They represent a time when they felt connected, understood, and safe.
I remember that moment when Atlas quotes the movie, saying,
Yes.
"We finally reached the shore."
Oh, wow.
It's like a metaphor for their journey back to each other, finally finding solid ground after years of being adrift.
Exactly. It's not just about reliving the past.
Yeah.
It's about using those shared memories to create a sense of continuity,
Okay.
a feeling that despite all the time and hardship they've endured, their connection has remained strong.
And then there are the journal entries.
Oh, yes.
These glimpses into their younger selves,
Yeah.
their thoughts and their feelings add a whole other layer to their relationship.
Those journal entries are crucial because they offer a window into their motivations and their vulnerabilities. We get to see how they perceived each other back then, what drew them together,
Right.
and how those early experiences shaped who they are today.
Okay, I have to admit, I was totally swooning over Atlas's journal entry, where he reveals he's loved Lily since they were teenagers. And the way he brings her a cookie bouquet, come on, that's classic romance novel gold.
It definitely is.
Mhm.
But let's not overlook the significance of those gestures.
Right.
They demonstrate a level of attentiveness and care that goes beyond mere attraction.
Yeah.
Atlas is making a conscious effort to show Lily that she's special to him, that he sees her,
Mm-hmm.
and that he values their connection.
It's like he's not just saying, "I love you," he's speaking her love language.
Exactly.
So we've got Atlas facing his past and becoming a brother figure to Josh Lily reclaiming her strength and their love story starting to reignite. Where do we go from here? What's next on our deep dive agenda?
Well, we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, no.
Those journal entries are begging to be explored further, and we need to delve deeper into how Lily and Atlas navigate their individual challenges while trying to build a future together. There's also the whole dynamic with Ryle and the potential for conflict there.
Ooh, sounds like we're in for a wild ride.
Yes.
But let's take a pause here for now and come back to it in our next part.
Sounds like a plan. We'll pick up right where we left off. Picking up where we left off, I think it's worth diving deeper into that encounter between Lily and Atlas's mother. You mentioned it was a bit chilly, right?
It was. It almost felt like she resented Atlas for trying to help Josh, especially when Lily described her reaction to Atlas fixing the doorknob.
It's almost as if acts of kindness, even simple ones, are foreign or threatening in their family dynamic. Remember, Atlas was fixing that doorknob for her, not just Lily.
That's a great point. And it really makes you wonder how Atlas becomes such a caring person despite growing up in that environment.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Nature versus nurture. Despite his upbringing, Atlas chose a different path. He's not just offering Josh shelter, he's actively trying to give him the love and stability he was denied. That scene where he's asking Theo about Josh's behavior at school, whether he's being kind and making friends, that's not just a concerned brother. That's someone trying to break a cycle.
It's almost fatherly, wouldn't you say? Like he's taking on that role in Josh's life, too.
Absolutely. It's as if he's trying to be the parent he never had, both to Josh and in some ways to himself. And it's not easy. There are clashes, moments of frustration, especially given their different personalities. Blending their lives together won't be simple.
Speaking of blending lives, let's talk about Lily's journey as a mother. We know she's co-parenting with Ryle, which can't be easy given his history of anger and control.
What stood out to me was the scene where Lily's own mother offers to take Emerson to the botanical gardens. Lily almost refuses, but then her mom says, "I'm sure you could use the break." There's such warmth and understanding there, a stark contrast to what we see in Alice's family.
It definitely highlights the importance of a supportive network, and it's not just practical help. Lily's mom is encouraging her to pursue her happiness, to make choices that are good for both her and Emerson.
That's a valuable lesson, isn't it? Sometimes we need those reminders that it's okay to prioritize our own well-being, that it doesn't make us selfish, especially when we're mothers. It actually allows us to be better parents in the long run.
Okay, I want to circle back to the journal entries for a minute. There's that one where Atlas describes his last night with Lily before leaving for the military. I have to admit, I got a little choked up reading it.
It's a heartbreaker. What struck me was his realization that he couldn't ask Lily to wait for him. That takes incredible maturity and selflessness. He's putting her happiness above his own desires.
And that makes their reunion years later all the more powerful. They've both grown and changed, but the connection is still there. It kind of makes you believe in the idea of soulmates, doesn't it? That even after all that time, they were meant to find their way back to each other.
It certainly pulls at those heartstrings.
Right.
But even soulmates face challenges. We can't forget about Ryle. He's still in the picture, and he's definitely not happy about Lily moving on with Atlas. That confrontation at the restaurant was intense.
Ryle's anger and jealousy were almost palpable. And it raises an interesting question. How do you balance protecting your own happiness while still acknowledging the other parent's role in your child's life?
That's the tightrope Lily and Atlas are walking. It requires clear boundaries, communication, and a constant focus on what's best for Emerson.
Okay, enough heavy stuff. Can we talk about the cookie bouquet again? I mean, that was adorable. And then there's that scene where Atlas tells Darren he wants to take more time off work, which we know is so he can spend more time with Lily.
Those are the moments that give us the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
They show that Atlas is putting his actions where his heart is. He's not just talking about wanting to be with Lily. He's making changes in his life to prioritize their relationship.
Speaking of actions, there's that scene where Lily is showing Atlas her lily flower tattoo, the one he used to draw for her when they were teenagers. Talk about a symbol of enduring love.
That was beautifully done. It speaks to the depth of their connection. Lily has held on to this symbol for years, and Alice is clearly touched by it. It's a visual reminder of the bond they forged as teenagers, a bond that has endured through time and hardship.
Okay, I know we're supposed to be going deep here, but I have to admit I'm getting swept up in the romance. But seriously, what are some of the bigger themes you're picking up on in these excerpts?
For me, it's the power of forgiveness. We see it in Atlas's relationship with his mother, in Lily's attempts to understand Ryle's struggles. It's not about condoning bad behavior, but about releasing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment.
That's such a valuable lesson, especially in today's world where it feels like holding on to grudges is almost encouraged. And then there's the theme of second chances, which is so central to Lily and Atlas's story.
Absolutely. Not just in romantic love, but in Atlas reconnecting with Josh, and even in Lily's mother trying to be a better parent this time around. It's a reminder that we all make mistakes, but we also have the capacity for growth and change.
And sometimes the most beautiful stories start with a second chance, right? Okay, but we're not quite at the happily ever after stage yet. Ryle is still a looming presence, and blending their lives is proving to be more complicated than maybe Lily and Atlas expected.
Right, and there's that scene where Lily's trying to explain boundaries to Ryle, and it's like talking to a brick wall. He's still so caught up in his own anger and resentment, unable to see how his actions are affecting those around him.
It's frustrating to watch, but it's also realistic. People don't change overnight, and even when someone is trying to set healthy boundaries, it doesn't always mean the other person will respect them.
Exactly. In those situations, sometimes the best you can do is protect yourself and those you love. Like when Lily tells Ryle she's spoken to a lawyer, it's a way of drawing a line in the sand saying, I'm not going to tolerate this behavior anymore.
And let's not forget about Alyssa. She's such a loyal friend to Lily, even willing to come up with that outrageous lie about the event to cover for her. It's those moments of humor that keep the story from getting too bogged down in the heavier themes.
I agree. Sometimes laughter is the best medicine, especially when dealing with difficult situations. It can provide a much-needed release of tension and remind us that even amidst chaos, there's still joy to be found.
Okay, enough talk about Ryle. Can we jump ahead to the wedding? Atlas's vows were just chef's kiss.
I was waiting for this. They were beautiful, weren't they?
Yeah.
And so real. He doesn't shy away from acknowledging that love isn't always easy. There will be challenges, disagreements, times when they'll drive each other crazy. But he's committed to navigating those ups and downs with Lily.
It's not the fairy tale happily ever after that's often portrayed in romance novels. It's a mature and realistic view of love as a partnership, a journey they'll take together.
And there's so much tenderness in the way he describes Lily as his favorite person. It suggests that their connection goes beyond passion and romance. It's a deep friendship, a mutual respect and admiration that forms the bedrock of their relationship.
That's what makes their love story so compelling. It's not just about the grand gestures, it's about those everyday moments of connection. The shared laughter, the quiet understanding, the simple act of choosing each other day after day.
Okay, let's not get too carried away with the wedding bells just yet.
No.
We still have some loose ends to tie up, like the whole situation with Josh. Remember, he expresses a desire to live with his father, which clearly throws Atlas for a loop.
That was a gut punch, wasn't it? After everything Atlas has done for Josh, trying to be the family he never had, Josh decides he wants to go live with the very person who abandoned them both.
It's a harsh reminder that even with the best intentions, we can't control other people's choices. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do is let go, even if it hurts.
It's that whole theme of letting go again, isn't it? Letting go of control, of expectations, of the need to fix everything. It's a theme that runs through so many of the storylines in this book.
And it's a tough lesson for Atlas to learn. He spends so much of his life trying to create stability and security for himself and for those he loves. But sometimes the best way to help someone is to give them the freedom to make their own mistakes, to find their own path, even if it leads them in a different direction than we'd hoped.
Wow, that's deep. And it makes me think that maybe that's the ultimate message here. The one thing we should be pondering as we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
What do you mean?
Well, we've talked about second chances, about forgiveness, about the complexities of family and love. But maybe what this all boils down to is the simple but profound act of letting go. Letting go of our need to control, to fix, to dictate how things should be. Maybe true love in all its forms is about giving those we care about the space to become who they are meant to be, even if it means letting them go.
That's a powerful thought, and it perfectly sets the stage for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the resolution of some of these storylines and see how the characters ultimately navigate the challenges they've been facing.
Okay, I'm still thinking about that idea of letting go as we jump into this final part of our deep dive into. It starts with us. Where do we even begin to unpack all the threads we've been following?
Well, we left off with Josh expressing his desire to live with his father, which was a pretty unexpected turn of events. How do you think Atlas handles that situation?
I'm guessing it's not easy for him. After all, he's poured so much of himself into trying to give Josh a better life, a stable home. It's got to be a blow to see him choose to go live with the very person who abandoned them both.
It definitely tests Atlas's commitment to this whole letting go idea we were just talking about. But what's interesting is that he ultimately does let go. He recognizes that as much as he wants to protect Josh, he can't force him to stay. He has to respect his decision, even if he doesn't agree with it.
There's a sense of maturity there, right? A recognition that his role isn't to control Josh's life, but to support him in finding his own way, even if it's a path filled with potential pitfalls.
Exactly. It's a powerful example of how love can sometimes mean stepping back and allowing someone the freedom to make their own choices, even if those choices might lead to heartbreak.
It makes you think about the different ways we express love, doesn't it? Sometimes it's about holding on tight, and sometimes it's about letting go.
I think that's such a crucial insight, and it's something we see playing out in other relationships throughout the book. For example, think about Lily's dynamic with Ryle.
Oh man, Ryle. He's been a tough one to crack. Even after Lily sets those firm boundaries, he continues to push back, trying to manipulate her and undermine her authority as a co-parent.
It's a reminder that setting boundaries doesn't always guarantee that they'll be respected. Sometimes, especially when dealing with someone who has a history of abusive behavior, it takes more than just words to establish a healthy dynamic.
There's that scene where Lily, Alyssa, and Marshall have that intervention with Ryle laying down the ground rules for his interactions with Lily and Emerson. It felt like a turning point, a show of force that said, we're not playing games anymore.
It was a powerful moment, a testament to the importance of having a strong support system. Lily didn't have to face Ryle alone. She had her best friend and her brother-in-law there to back her up, to reinforce those boundaries and to remind Ryle that he wasn't going to get away with his manipulative tactics anymore.
It was almost like they were forming a protective circle around Lily and Emerson, a united front against Ryle's attempts to control and intimidate. It makes you realize how essential it is to surround yourself with people who will have your back, who will stand up for you, and who will fight alongside you when things get tough.
Speaking of tough situations, did you find yourself relating to any of the characters or their struggles?
You know, there's a scene where Lily's mom is reflecting on her own parenting, and it really resonated with me. She talks about wishing she had been stronger for Lily, that she hadn't made certain choices. It's a vulnerable moment, and it made me think about all the ways we as humans try to do our best, but inevitably make mistakes along the way.
It's a reminder that even those who love us deeply aren't perfect. They have their own baggage, their own regrets, and their own journeys of growth. And sometimes the most healing thing we can do is to extend grace to those who have hurt us, recognizing that they too are doing the best they can with the tools they have.
And it's not just about forgiving others, it's also about forgiving ourselves for the mistakes we've made. Lily's mom's reflection made me think about the times I've let myself down, the choices I wish I could go back and change. But ultimately, it's about learning from those experiences and striving to do better in the future.
It's about that ongoing process of growth and self-compassion, which I think is a central theme throughout the book.
Huh.
All the characters are flawed, they all make mistakes, but they're also all striving to be better versions of themselves.
Okay, we've talked about letting go, about boundaries, about forgiveness, but there's one key element we haven't really touched on yet. The wedding we left off with Atlas, delivering those heartfelt vows, but I'm dying to know how the actual ceremony unfolds.
Well, let's just say it's everything you'd expect from a Colleen Hoover novel. Romantic, emotional, and filled with those swoon-worthy moments that leave you feeling all warm and fuzzy inside.
I'm picturing twinkling lights, flowing white dresses, and maybe even a few happy tears. But what really stood out to me in the excerpts was the sense of family that permeated the entire event. It wasn't just about Lily and Atlas. It was about the community they had built around themselves, the people who had supported them through thick and thin.
You're right. It's almost as if the wedding becomes a symbol of their collective journey, a celebration of the love and resilience they've shown both individually and as a group. You've got Lily's mom beaming with pride, Alyssa offering her signature witty commentary, and even Josh, despite his decision to live with his father present to witness his brother's happiness.
It's a reminder that family isn't always defined by blood. It's about the people who choose to love and support you, the ones who show up for you, the ones who make you feel seen and valued. And in that sense, Lily and Atlas have created a truly beautiful family, one that has weathered storms and emerged stronger on the other side.
It's a testament to the power of human connection, the way we can find solace and strength in each other, and the enduring hope that lies at the heart of every love story.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into It Starts With Us, what's the final takeaway you want our listeners to ponder?
I think it's the reminder that even in a world that can sometimes feel chaotic and unpredictable, there's always the possibility for growth, for healing, and for love. We see it in Lily and Atlas's journey, in their willingness to confront their pasts, to forgive, to let go, and to create a future filled with hope and possibility. And it's a reminder that those possibilities exist for each of us, no matter what challenges we may be facing.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to contemplate the power of second chances, the enduring strength of the human spirit, and the beauty of finding love in all its messy, complicated, and ultimately transformative forms. Until next time, happy reading.